Hi, my name is Mark Landry Gould. I'm a filmmaker, and I'm excited to be interviewed by Keith Andrew, and we're going to have a good time.
The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having learning disabilities, I can still know something. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there. Never give up and prove people wrong no matter what. Show them labels do not dictate who you are going to be. KeithAndrewNetWork. Shatter your expectations. It is my destiny. Prove people wrong in this world. Find ways to shatter your expectations. Don't let disabilities define you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following is brought to you by the Keith Andrew Network. You're watching the talk show hosts with a learning disability. I'm here with my good friend Mark. He already introduced himself in the beginning of the show. The first subject we're going to talk about today is icebreaker. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thanks, Keith, and thank you for putting me on your show. I appreciate it. It's such a great honor to be here with you and stuff like that. I am a filmmaker. I've been doing films and been working in the film industry for the past 15, 20 years, somewhere around in that area. I won't tell you too much, but the last couple of years have been pretty interesting. I've done feature films that have been picked up by Grindstone and Lionsgate. Did over, you know, I've done the gamut. I've done, TV shows. I've done documentaries, music videos back in the day when they were all big and popular. I've done documentaries. It's been fun. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff for many years. So that's mainly my main thing is being a filmmaker.
Hey, if you're ever up for it, I'd love to work with you. Maybe you can help me become bigger than what I am.
Well, you look pretty big to me. Look at all the audience behind you and everything right now. They're just cheering you on the whole time.
That's true. You have to be your own cheerleader because no one's
Yeah.
going to stand there and hold your hand and they can give you advice. This is what you should do. It's
Yeah.
easy to say, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to say. But I'm like, well, what do you like to help me with it? No, if you can't do it yourself, and it's not
Yeah.
meant to be. You
Yeah.
have to be your own biggest cheerleader.
Mhm, mhm. And you have to figure it out. That's just life. You did. Look at you. Look at what you're doing. You're figuring it out. You're creating it. You're creating content. You're doing fantastic. I mean, you are figuring it out as you go, and you learn so much as you move forward on what you can or cannot do. You take from other people's ideas, and that's just how life is, and that's how the business world is too. So,
No, I agree. So the first question I want to ask you is the top 10. These are custom-made questions that my friend helped me with. They're
mhm.
already directed at you. So the first one we're going to talk about, what made you decide to become a director? So let's go with that part. What made you decide to become a director?
Ooh. I wanted at the beginning, I guess I've always was on stage, and I went in my younger high school and college, and I was acting in a professional stage at New Mexico State, studying under Mark Medoff, which was an incredible writer. He wrote Children of a Lesser God, which was a famous play, um, and became a movie. It was up for nominations for an Oscar, but he kind of inspired me to kind of look off of. To change my mind from trying to be on stage and be an actor. And I started writing for the stage, did pretty good, did some, won some a little bit of awards back in my college days. And then I was just like, I think not the stage is dying, but I was more interested in films. And so I ended up applying to only two schools, AFI and Cal Arts. And I ended up at Cal Arts, which was called Directing for Theater, Video, and Cinema, which I love that program. It was developed from Alexandria McKendrick, who was a very huge director back in the 50s and 60s. And the program was really just about directing actors. That was the focus. Got me really excited about it. I went ahead and went to Cal Arts, and that's where the real gut and where I really just was a change from an actor into a director. And I loved being behind And I love the idea of telling story. That was really where I changed from trying to act it out and trying to create it and develop it. And I love collaborating, working with actors and just working with DPs and producers. I just love the collaboration part of it more from that end.
Hey, I'm always looking for people to collaborate with, so I think we'd be a good match.
Yeah, collaboration is the best, especially when you have no egos involved. When you have the egos involved, it's not fun. Let's put it that way.
No,
Egos are
I
not fun.
I agree with you 100%. Actually, that's the next segue I want to talk to you about. There's so many people that have massive egos. Paul Levesque, Triple H, The Rock. The Rock was great as the Black Adam. But the problem was, people said he was difficult to work with because he had his head up his ass. But and it's not just him. I love
Yeah.
Dwayne. He's a great actor, better actor than professional wrestler. But there's so many people out there that have their heads way up their ass. And not saying The Rock is why not? The Rock is one of them. But there's Tom Cruise and Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey recently came out and said he played so many different roles over the years, he doesn't know who he is anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's kind of sounds like schizophrenic and like mental illness because you need to know who you are. I get it. You're portraying thousands of different roles and you have to embody that person. For an example, Heath Ledger locked himself away for 6 months to actually become the Joker.
Mhm.
Now, hands down, he was fantastic as the Joker. But mentally, locking yourself away for 6 months, it does sound like you're in a freaking mental institution,
Mhm.
but that really does something to you mentally. Do you agree or disagree?
Um, I agree and disagree. I'll tell you where I agree. I think you bring up a really good point. Um, I agree with you, and that's us from looking from the outside. We don't know, and each person and each personality in which they embody an actor embodies the characters. They can take it too far, and then they can go, into a world that sticks with them, and they can't let it go. And they embody emotions and feelings and then they get praised a lot of times for what they do and then they can't let it go. It just stays in the back of their head, it stays in their brain. And I did all this great work and I got praised for all this great work. I mean, yeah, Heath Ledger's a great thing. He was in the middle of everything and being the Joker, and he took it just too far. He went to the darkest side. um we live in a real world. We don't we live in a real world, and I'm not to say, because I think actors are great when they, and I've worked with actors who embodied it that way, who were really deep. And then I had actors who were able to separate but come on stage and be able to do it. Every person has their own personality and their own mental awareness, and sometimes they cross the line. And I think you brought up some good cases where they cross the line and they continue to let it cross their line. And I don't, I feel sorry when they can't come back. And I'm like, I wish you could. I wish you could get some help, figure that out, that was just a role, and that you're your own human being. You don't have to be that. Um, but I'm very in awe that they can go that deep and that far. It's insane how somebody can take that character, become that person, live that person, and they can't let it go. They just sucked it up and it becomes part of them. And then, I mean, obviously there's some issues there, but at the same time, I'm very impressed with people who can do that and not have that separation.
Occasionally, I talk to my sister about this, but see, oh, we both grew up watching Next Generation, and
Mm.
Brent Spider came out recently and said he was typecast. Now, as a director, you make certain films, and some people may say that you only typecast certain genres. Is being typecast really that big of a deal?
No, I think that's stupid. And I think putting people in a box is absolutely stupid. We're not built that way. That's not what humanity is. That is not what we are as humans. We are not a box. And why does Hollywood or why do people put that stigma on people and put them into a certain box? Absolutely not. I do not agree with that. I don't think that is. I think anybody can do comedy and do drama. I think that I hate that when people say, "Well, you're a comic." I mean, look at Robin Williams. You know, he's this comedian actor and he's doing all this stuff. But when he did so many dark films, our characters that were dealing with dark issues. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And you're like, it's insane when somebody can go from comedy to drama. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It's acting. One, it's acting. But number two, we as society like to put somebody in a box, or we in society like to go, hey, this person is this person, and that's all they can be. That's not true. We're human beings, and we're multi-layered. We're have all these um, distinct values that people don't see that now sometimes people put a facade on and that's all they're going to be, and that's the image they're going to try and show. And I feel sorry for that, but when it comes to acting or putting anything, I absolutely think that's the worst thing you can do is put somebody into a box like that.
Well, let me ask you this, with everything that you accomplish, how do you approach creating content for different mediums?
Yeah. They're different mediums, you know what I mean? I'm we're right now it's really funny. I'm in development right now of two things. One is called El Grandpa, and it's a comedy. You know, it's about a deranged um baby boomer who breaks out of an old folks home in San Diego and ends up in Tijuana with his illegitimate grandson and his counselor, and they become lucha libre wrestlers, famous wrestlers. And it's just a comedy. It's just a comedy, and it's just fun. It's a family value film, and it's just absolutely fun to write. And then on the other side, I'm writing a biopic about a famous football player back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s by the name of Lyle Alzado, and he played for the Raiders. And he had some very dark characteristics about him. He was abused by his father, but he became a very, I mean, huge character in the NFL world. People just loved him, and he was a great football player. But there was a lot going on with him. But you're sitting there, you're dealing with these kind of like two different kind of worlds, but it's fun. And then you go and you take out from that medium, then somebody goes, "Hey, I need you to do a music video, or I need you to do this," and you have to say, "This is the job, this is the story, and this is what the your lane you're going to be in." And you have to recognize you're on a freeway, like in Los Angeles, I'm in LA. You're on the five, and there's five different lanes. Which lane are you in at that time? And you realize I'm in this lane. I'm doing this work, and so get in your lane, figure out how the lane works, and do the best you can.
No, I agree with you 100%. For me, I fall under the spectrum because I can't read and write. I never went to college. I fall
Mhm.
under the spectrum of the R word. And I was like, well, people never really thought I could amount to things. Make a long story short. But for
Mhm.
12 and a half years, I'm showing you, I have interviewed over 1,220 people. I never went to
Nice.
college. I can't read and write. But with the heart and passion, look at what I can accomplish and have accomplished. And I can inspire people to inspire other people with and without disabilities. Hey, if he can come from nothing and create this, then there's absolutely no excuse why you can't do what you want to do.
Right, right. I mean, you're a perfect example. And you know your lane. You almost had to create your own lane, and which is great. You knew what you or how to work within that lane, and you're doing it. You have your disabilities, but that doesn't give you a pass either. You could easily just be sitting at home going, "I'm not doing anything. I have a disability. I give up." But you don't. You're sitting here doing interviews, you're grabbing people, you're meeting people, uh, you're making friends. There's so many cool things you're doing by what you're doing right now.
I agree, and I thank you for that. Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you, do you like professional wrestling?
I wrote a screenplay. I just told you about professional.
I know I had a
I'm
brain fart.
I'm not, yeah, I'm not as much of a fan as the guy I co-wrote this with, but I really have respect for the professional wrestling world in the sense I just they're athletes like people do not know. I mean, he keeps showing me the moves and the stuff they're doing. I'm like, this is like a circus and it's athletic. It's everything all mixed in one, and it's just amazing. It's amazing what those athletes can do. Are
But
you a big fan?
well, I will try to look for sponsors, but I just do this for fun because on certain days I like to give shout outs. But
Mhm.
I've been a diehard fan since I love Dragon Ball even more now, but I still
No.
watch the WWF, WWE. But the reason I bring it up is tonight, available on Netflix, is WWE Monday Night War. There's two matches that will be on the screen for their qualifying matches at Night of Champions. I'm not going to watch it because they're going to be in Saudi Arabia, and that's a whole different story. But I do watch Monday Night. I've been watching Monday Night Raw since 1994. So
Wow.
I'm not obsessed with professional wrestling like I once was, but occasionally I do watch the pay-per-views because, hey, if you do something, it's a force of habit.
Right. No, no, that's true. 100%.
So the next one I want to ask you, because you're working with me, and I thank you for that. Have you worked with people with disabilities? And for people who have learning disabilities, who want to become a director, a filmmaker, a story
Mhm.
writer, what words of wisdom would you want to give to them?
Well, first of all, since I've been in college, I always worked with people with disabilities. I mean, I worked at a place with young kids who had disabilities in college. That was one of my jobs. And it was interesting because I was able to learn um, how to identify it at a very young age. And it was from birth to three is who I worked with. Did that for several months. And then I worked with adults too. That was in college. You know, you're kind of young in your 20s and you're like, all right. Um, Recently, I have not worked specifically, but I do have to say this. First, you have to identify your disabilities. We all have some kind of disabilities. Not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's perfect. Only one perfect person ever walked this earth in my mind. But I do have to say that we all have something that we're not good at or disabilities that we each have. We have some disabilities, some more than others. Identify your disabilities. If you want to work within this industry and you're going to be like, hey, I want to become a director, and you know what you can or cannot do, such as you have trouble reading and writing, correct? Is that
Yeah.
what you said? So, but you do not, but you can comprehend, you can understand, you can listen, you can learn by talking to somebody. So what you're going to do is like if you were going to be a director, you would pick up a camera, you would start shooting, you would see what you can do and what you can get. And then you talk to somebody and somebody could help you like get into Premiere Pro or some kind of thing to learn how to edit. And by doing it and continuing shooting and continuing doing it, it becomes something that's very natural. Then you know, well, I can and cannot do this. I can get somebody to help me do this. I can describe what I was seeing. We can work through it. And that's where the collaboration comes in. And that's how you learn is by talking to people and getting people to help you to do that.
For let me ask you, what is some of your favorite software out there? You mentioned Adobe. For me,
Yeah.
I live by this, and I'm probably gonna use this to the day I die. Eventually, I will find something else I'm good at. But I've been using iMovie for the past 25 years.
Yeah. iMovie's great, especially for something like this, and it's great. Is um, I the reason I like Adobe and I like Premiere Pro. I came from Final Cut world, and that was actually with Apple back in the day, and that's how I learned how to do. And then I moved to Adobe, and it's just so much easier because you have so much you can use and connect with. So I definitely would. I love Adobe for that because it's kind of the mid level between beginners and like the professional world. I still think some people are doing Avid. I'm not sure, but I think the industry still is working through Avid and been using Avid. But I'm very much Adobe and Premiere Pro. It's just something I'm, and you can. learn how to use those tools. That's just something you'll learn. It's really the artist and what you do with those tools and how you do it. So you can have a great, you can learn how to edit really well, but if you don't know how to tell a story, if you're a director or and you can't tell story, what good is those skills if you're trying to make a movie? You really need to learn to work with actors. You really need to learn how to write story, compelling stories, and then know how to take it from script to the editing room to post. So.
I'm gonna put you on the seat. If you're interested, like I said, I would love to work with you. But if I asked you, how would you direct my show to make it bigger and better? I want you to be brutally honest. What are some of your words of wisdom or criticisms you would give me?
Well, I'm just learning. I'll have to look at some of it, and I'll definitely offline. I can tell you. And after I see some of your stuff, I'm sorry. I've been real busy recently, as you and I trying to connect. Just to do this interview has been a little bit tough. But as of right now, your interview is great. Your questions are great. I do not have any issues with anything you've done. There's not a bit. No, no, there's nothing I can critique you yet on it. To be honest with you. You're very warming. You're just a charming person, and you're nice, and you got great questions. And I don't think just keep doing what you're doing, and you're gonna keep finding things. That's the only thing I gotta tell you. Is just keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Now, do you think what I'm doing is a inspirational story? And do you have any inspirational stories?
Yeah, I think what you're doing is very inspirational. I was walking with my wife. I was telling her about you today. She's like, okay, what are you doing today? What are, because she has to keep me on track because, I'm all over the place. And I was told her I was going to be speaking with you. And I think you admitting where your disabilities are and then using it as a tool, I think is fantastic. I think, I think to me, that's just it's exciting to be part of something like this. It's exciting to meet someone who's willing to look at it and address it. And I think that is inspiring to other people that I'll come up and do the same.
I want you to be brutally honest. When I first emailed you, what was that first reaction and what made you say yes? And would you recommend it?
Um, yeah, I'm brutally honest usually. Yeah, when I first read it, I was like, why not? I didn't say it was like, well, I have never paid to be on someone show ever. No, I haven't. I was like, but I'm like, this guy's working it. He's trying to work. He's trying to have a job. He's pretty soon you won't have to do that with guests. I assume once you get your YouTube or anything. But I was like, yeah, if somebody is gonna make me pay, but they're doing it for a job and they're gonna produce something, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna do it if it's a legitimate not cause. Let me take that back. If it's a legitimate reason to do it, not a cause. Because if you make yourself a cause, then you're really doing a disservice for yourself. But if you're doing it for a reason and you have purpose, that's not a cause. Now it's a reason and a purpose. So if it becomes a cause, then it's like, oh, poor Key. But if there's a reason for me to get behind you and a purpose to get behind you, which is why you're doing what you're doing, saying, hey, it's my job. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to put you out, you know, but it's going to cost you to be on my show. I think
But
it's awesome. It made me laugh. It honestly made me laugh at first. And I was like, why not? It wasn't like you're charging me $1,000. You're like, hey, it's
I
30
got in
minutes.
arguments with people and like, wait, you came to me, I didn't came to you, and I really don't care what you do. And why you ask me for money? It's like this is because I'm not a charity case. Instead of working in a 9 to 5 job, Target or Walmart, ShopRite, and hating it, I've been doing this for 12 and a half years, and I created something that I'm really passionate about and capable of
Mhm.
doing. It takes me about 3 hours, give or take, with doing all the editing, with all the processing. It looks fantastic. And Okay, in the beginning, people are like, well, why did you ask for money when you first started? And the reason was people didn't know who the hell I was. So if I said to you 12 years ago, hey, I'm a talk show host with a disability, give me $30, you're like, well, what the hell is this?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
over the time, people kept saying to me, do you make money off this? Do you charge people? Because people should contribute to support your message, and you're inspiring people with and without disabilities. But what exactly are you getting out of it? So I'm not a charity case, but I take this very personally because this is a job that I want to do.
Yeah. And it's good. And then you know what? I gained a friend today. That too. You know what I mean? And that's the good thing about it. So why not? We're here. Hey, life out there in the real world sucks today.
It
There's too
does.
much hate, too much craziness. Why not support each other? Love on each other, be friends, meet everybody. We may all not agree with everything. We might disagree with a lot of things, but we can sit down and have conversations and be friends. And that's the way, I mean, what it was 30, 45 minutes of my time and your time. And you'll do more work on it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I understand and I appreciate that time of extra work. But hey, we gained something more today,
What
both of
was the
us.
what was the two expressions that I heard? And I would like to hear some of your expressions. The two recently I heard, one was Bugs Bunny. Now I'm thinking about, I'm gonna freaking buzzer it. Well, let me get to back to him. But the one from Animaniacs, a man early to rise, early to sleep is so sweet dead. And and the Bugs Bunny was, don't take life too personally because in the end we never get out alive. But I mean, it's true. You can't take
Yeah.
life too personally because
No.
life is too short. Just do what you love and inspire other people.
Yeah. People get caught up and worried, but I mean, that's a lot of the social media. Like, it's just feeding us all this craziness that's overloading and overstimulating to the point, that people are going crazy and believing the weirdest things in life. So you're right. Just take each moment. Life is too short to stress about everything. Stand for what you believe. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying being totally passive, but be aggressive towards you do. But understand we're not all the same people. We don't all think the same way, and so I taking these moments like we're having right now and spending with each other it's a blessing, and it definitely is, and it's really cool to have that time.
As my friend Scotty said, enjoy life. Life is a journey, not a destination.
Hmm. 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 100%. Life is a journey, not a destination. You nailed that.
But I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, do you have any new movies or films that you're working on?
Yeah. Again, I'll re-mention, the two that I'm really focusing on right now. It's called El Grandpa, and that's the one about the deranged baby boomer guy who ends up in lucha libre, wrestling in Mexico with his illegitimate grandson and his counselor, and it's just so fun. That's the one that we're really excited. Hopefully, that will be coming out. Hopefully, we can be shooting within the next year. Fingers crossed. And then hopefully, after that, 2 years from now, a year and a half, we'll be shooting the biopic about Lyle Alcedo. I would love to do that.
No, absolutely. Stay tuned for Off the Air. Our goal is to reach 500 and more views. Once we reach your goal, we definitely will do a part two. I do enjoy talking to
Thank
you,
you.
and we would definitely do a part two. But wrapping up, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a
Thank you.
guest. And I just want to say thank you very much. But as you said, by being here and taking a half hour, you're supporting the cause, well, message, whatever, supporting the
Message.
message, cause, and you're making a new friend out of it. But at the end of
Yep.
the day, it's always about doing the right thing. But wrapping up, until we meet again, I catch you later. Thank you
Take care.
and have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
You too.